In this video, we're going to use HTML and CSS to create a responsive website. If you want to follow along, be sure to check out the link in the description. Otherwise, if you're ready, let's get started. So we're going to use Visual Studio Code in this project. So first thing we want to do is to change the title. So let's change it to collab. And in the body, I'm going to add a container. In the container, we're going to have a header. In the header, I'm going to use an image with the class of logo because we want to use a logo image here. The source could be image/collapse. If we save it, we can see the image in the browser. The next thing I want to add is the navigation. So it's going to be nav and with the class name navigation. And I'm going to have for a tag in there with the name navigation item. So the first one is going to be, let me see, home. The second one would be about. The third one would be services. And the last one would be contact. Alright, I'm also going to add a button here. It's going to be a navigation button. It's gonna have a text of get started. Alright, let's move on to our main. In the main, I'm going to have two sections. The first one would be main content. Let's say content like this. And the second section would be let's say main image. In the main content, we're going to have an H1, a headline. It's going to be, let me copy the text, collaborate like never before. And we're going to have a description as well. I'm also going to just copy the text over. Alright, so in the content, I'm going to add one more element, which is a button. And this button is going to be with the class play button. In the play button, I'm going to add a text discover video. We also want to add an icon here. So we're going to use font awesome in this project. So let's go to font awesome Academy 3 school. Let's see what we have. Let's check the first one. So in order to use the font awesome, we're going to use font awesome 4. All we need to do is copy this link and paste it in the head. And I'm also going to copy this one over. So if now we go to our website, we can see a car icon. But what we want to have is a play circle. Alright, so now we have it. Let's move on to the main image. In the main image, we're going to use the image tag again, but this time we're going to use the data image. Alright, looks good. Let's move on to our footer. In the footer, we're going to have an social links. So let's create a div with a class of socials and then a tag. So let's say 3 times with a class of social item. Right. So in the a tag, we want to use the icon as well. So let's copy this and paste it here. Instead of circle, we're going to use Instagram. Let's copy another time. And then paste it here and paste it here as well. So Instagram, Twitter, and then YouTube. Oh, it doesn't have it play here. YouTube play, if I remember it correctly. Yes, it's correct. And I'm also going to add my name here as well. So span to yeah. Alright, so now we are done with our HTML file. Let's move on to our CSS. So let's create a style.css file. In order to use that, we need to go to the index.html and say link CSS. And now if we save it and go back to the style.css, the first thing I want to do is to reset some of the property. So let's say box sizing, border box, and font to be inherit, as well as the color to be inherit. In the body, we want to use the font that not the default one. So let's go to Google font. The font that we are going to use is Poppin. So let's select that. And I'm going to use, let's say light, regular, and medium. All we have to do is to copy this link and paste it in the head, similarly to the icon. I'm going to copy this as well and paste it here. So if we go back to the website now, it looks much better. So I also want to remove all the padding and the margin that the body has by default. And I'm going to set the color to be 333, as I don't like the dark black color by default. So also one thing I want to do is with the p tag, I want to give it a max width of 600, because like you don't want the paragraph to be too wide. So let's move on to our header. In the header, I want to say, I want to put it a display flex, and it also align it like vertically, center vertically. Alright, so for the navigation, I want to say flex grow to be 1. Right, and also I forgot, let's select the container and let's give it a max width of 1200 pixel and a padding of 24 pixel, so that it's not going to be too wide, and we make sure that there always space in the border. Okay, let's go back to our navigation. In the navigation, let's select the navigation item. In here, I want to remove all the tag decoration that the A tag have. So let's say tag decoration none, and then I'm going to give it a color of, let's say, what is the color of the item? It's going to be BD, and let's give it a margin left of 24 pixel. Yep, but we don't want it to in the first one, so let's remove that. Alright, so I want to give the home and like active state, so let's go back to our HTML and give it navigation item active, and in the style of CSS, I'm gonna select that and give it a color of, let's say, 333. Alright, so we also want to give the navigation a margin left as well, but this time going to be 40 pixel. Alright, it looks better. Let's move on to our button. In the button, I want to, what is that called again? Is navigation button. In here, I want to remove the border, so let's say border none, background to be transparent. No, actually I want the background to be a gradient color, and one easy way to do that is to go to Figma and select the element, go to inspect and copy it, and let's paste it in. Alright, now it looks better. Let's also give it some padding. So let's say padding 10 pixel and 36 pixel, and border radius to be 50 pixel, and color is going to be white. Right, looks great. And let's move on to our main. In the main, I'm going to use flex as well. So display flex, and yeah. So for the main content, I want to give you a flex one, and in the main image, I'm also going to give it a flex one as well. Right, so in the main content, we're going to style the headline. The headline going to have a font size of 52 pixel. Let's say font weight 500. Alright, and let's go back to our HTML file. One thing I want to do is to have a line break here, so it looks better. And notice that I also fixed the main dash image. But let's go back to our style of CSS. The next thing we want to do is to remove all the margin from the H1. So let's say margin 0 as well as the padding 0, just to make sure. So in the description, let's give it a color of, let me check what's the color of description. It's H2. So H2. Right, and let's also remove all the margin for now. We're going to add it later, but let's just remove it. So I'm going to add a margin top to be 24 pixel. And margin bottom to be 40 pixel. Alright, so for the button, what did I name it? Let's go back. Is that play button? Yes, it's play button. So let's select that. Similarly to the get started button, let's remove the border. Let's give it some padding, 10 pixel, 36 pixel. Going to give it a border 1 pixel. Actually, we don't need this. 1 pixel solid. What's the color here? It's going to be E0. Alright. But the background is going to be transparent, and as well as the border radius is going to be 50 pixel as well. There's something wrong with the border. Border 1 pixel solid. Is that E0? It is E0, but we cannot see it. What's going on? Oh, sorry. It is border radius. Right. So let's give a text a gradient as well. But this is a bit more tricky. So I'm going to copy it and explain it to you. In here, we want to have the same background, but instead, we're going to clip it to the text. Notice here the icon doesn't show. So in order to fix that, we can say, let's say play button and then FA for awesome. In here, let's go color. No, it's going to be background. Inherit. Right. And while we add it, let's also put a bigger font size. So let's say font size to be 1.5 rem. No, too much, 25 rem. And margin right to be 6 pixel. Right, looks better. And let's go back to the place button and give it a flex display. Flex. And also align them vertically. Right, look good. And let's move on to the footer. In the footer, I'm also going to use flex. Right, and in the social, I'm going to give it a margin right of, let's say, 40 pixel. Yeah, looks about right. And then for the, and also let's change the color to be, let's say, BD. Yeah, looks good. And for the social item, let's say margin right to be 12 pixel. Yeah, looks good. But actually the text here doesn't change the color, so let's remove this and paste it in the footer. Alright, so it looks almost like the design, but we want the footer to be in the bottom. And in order to do that, let's go to our container and let's use grid. And let's say grid template row out2 one function out2, and then also give it the height of 100 view height. Bam! Now you can see that it's going to be in the bottom. In order to display this better, let's go to a bigger screen size. Let's go here. Oh, one thing that I forgot is to center the container. So let's go back to our container and let's say margin 0 out2. By saying this, it's going to center our content. So you can see now it's now centered. But also one thing that I forgot is to center this content to be in the center vertically. So let's go back to our CSS and go to our main align item center. Alright, so let's go back to our browser. Looks pretty good. But one thing also forgot again, that because this is a tag, so we really want to have the hover color. So let's go back and go to social item and select that again. And for the hover, let's say color to be 333. And if we go back to here, now we have the hover color. So the next step is to style the mobile view, because right now it does not work yet. So let's see how we can do that. So in our CSS, we want to have a media query. So let's say media, only screen, and let's say max width to be let's say 660 pixels. In here, let's shrink our screen a bit to be like less than 660. So in here we want to say main display block. Right. So now it does not, go in one row anymore. It doesn't have any margin and padding. So let's go to our main content and add margin top 40 pixel as well as margin bottom 40 pixel. Right, looks better now. So one thing I forgot to do is for the image, let's see. In the image, I want to give it a width of 100%. So let's say image with 100%, just to make sure that it doesn't go like max width all the time. So if we go like bigger screen, yeah, it will be responsive now. All right, so you can notice here the navigation is kind of overlaps each other. So let's remove it. Let's just remove them. So let's say header logo display none, and also as well as the navigation to be display none. Alright, so now we have nothing. We want to add a like hamburger menu button there. So let's go back to our HTML. Let's say in the header, let's add a button. In the button is going to have an icon. So let's copy the icon here and paste it here. The name of the icon would be reorder, if I remember it correctly. Yep, it is correct. And actually let's add a div here with the class of let's say button container. Actually let's name it menu button. It's better name, and paste it inside. So for the menu button, I want to say flex grow to be 1. Right. So for the button, so let's go menu button, and in here we want to remove the border, background as well, background color transparent. All right. So we want to pump up the font size. So let's say font size to be 1.5 rem. Right, looks good. And yeah, so let's move on to create our mobile navigation. And in order to do that, let's go to our index.html. I'm going to create a div here and name it mobile or mobile navigation. In here we're going to have, is that 4? Actually let's just say mobile navigation for now, and I'm going to copy this block in here and select all the, no, I'm going to select the navigation item and hit Command D or Control D and change it to be mobile navigation. Alright, so in here I'm also want to have, if we scroll back top a bit, we can see that we also want to copy this logo, and I want to create a div with the class name of mobile navigation header. in here, let's copy the image inside, and I'm going to use a logo, no, not logo, an icon there. So let's copy this icon and paste it inside. This one, actually, I'm going to copy the menu button and paste it inside. And I'm going to change the reorder to be close. Alright, looks good. And this one would be close button. Alright, so let's go to our CSS. I'm going to select the mobile navigation. In here, I'm going to say display, no, position, fixed, and width of 100 view width, height 100 view height, and background color to be white. Right, looks good. And then also add a padding for the mobile navigation, let's say 24 pixel. Right, and in the mobile navigation header, let's display flex again and align center vertically. Let's say justify content space between. Alright, looks good. And let's select the button, and let's do that by close button. Let's say border none, background transparent, and then font size 1.5 rem. Right, this works. And let's move on to our mobile navigation. So let's say mobile navigation item, text decoration none, font size, let's say 2 rem. Okay, it's too big, 1.5 rem. Alright, and the color to be, let's do BD. Alright, so let's go display block. Alright, margin bottom to be 24 pixel, looks good. And let's say margin top, no, we don't want that. We want it to, let's go back here, we want the header to have a margin bottom, so let's say margin bottom to be 24 pixel. Actually, I'm gonna say 40 pixel. Alright, so in here we want to give the active a black color as well, so let's say mobile item active to be black, no, color to be black. No, it's not black, isn't it? It's going to be 333. I'm tired already. Alright, so now we have the navigation, the mobile navigation, but we don't want to show it in the desktop view. So in the media query, I want to select the mobile navigation and display none. It says something wrong. Actually, it display block because I want by default it's display none. So let's go to here, display none. Alright, and we also want to hide the menu button. So let's say, where's the menu button? Display none as well, and show it in the mobile. Alright, so if we go smaller screen, we can see the mobile navigation, but we don't want that. By default, we want to hide it. So in order to do that, I'm going to go to the mobile navigation, and let's say transform translate x minus 100%. So now it's still there, but we cannot see it. And I'm going to add a new class, which is going to be mobile navigation open. And I'm going to add a transform, but instead of minus 100, I'm going to say 0. And while we add it, let's add a transition as well. Let's say transform, let's copy this, and 200, now let's say 300 millisecond, and is in out. You already see the animation, but in order to make it work, let's go to our index.html, and let's add a script tag. In the script tag, we're going to create a function. I'm gonna call it toggle mobile navigation. In here, I'm going to select the element, the mobile navigation element. It's going to be document dot get by ID. It's going to be mobile navigation. Let's add this ID to the mobile navigation because we didn't do that yet. Alright, so now we have it. So let's say if the element dot class list dot contain let's say mobile navigation open, then we want to remove it. So element dot class list dot remove. Let's copy this. Otherwise, we're going to add it. Alright, so let's see if we did that. No, actually, I forgot. We need to use it. So let's copy this. And in the close button, let's say on click. And we use that as well as in the menu button. Alright, so let's see if it works. It does. So now we have a responsive website. And let's go to the bigger screen. It's looking awesome. So that's how you create a responsive website using HTML and CSS and a little bit of JavaScript. But if you want to have more design, check out devgenesis.io. And don't forget to hit subscribe button as well as follow me on Twitter. And other than that, see you in the next video and stay happy coding. Bye.